Well, hello. I'm Jim McGinnis. This is my back porch, and this is our latest published book. I say our because I had a whole lot of help. It's called Good Dog Loose, first children's book. Not only is it a cool little story for young and old alike, it's also a bit of an introduction for a lot of you to one of the most creative souls I know, Tamara Fernandez. Her beautiful illustrations that help tell this story are, for many, the first glimpses of her talents. But certainly, it won't be your last. You know, one of the great thrills of being a teacher is not just the stories I get to tell, but the ones I get to hear. What became of you? What's your story? I love to ask when I run into one, and they are cheerfully obliged to tell me. My questions have changed from back when they sat in my class, when I challenged them with Walt Whitman, what verse will you write? No longer unstoried, unknowing, so many are filling themselves with all the little things, all the parts, the details that make each life a masterpiece. Tamara, well, what a great example. She was, in fact, a former student who had a habit of lighting up my room. And she's a member of a wonderful Florida family who filled her childhood with love and adventure. Tamara's outdoor experiences were teeming with all kinds of plants and critters, as she likes to say, many of which were dogs. It was apparent early on that fueled her artistic vision and shaped the way she sees the world and affects the way she lives her life. After earning her BA in art studio from the University of South Florida, Tamara came back to Melbourne High School, where we taught alongside each other for about 7 years. Well, not exactly alongside, but it was pretty close. But then she was off to Ecuador, teaching art in Quito. Why don't I let her tell you in her words? Because when I asked her to catch me up a few years ago, this was Tamara's reply. And I don't think she'll mind if I share it with you. So here's her words. I moved to Quito, Ecuador to teach 9th and 10th IB and YB art in, well, let's just say American School of Quito. One of my life dreams is to be fluent in Spanish, of which I now am, and I am not. I began studying for my Master's of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies with a concentration in international learning styles. And after 2 years in Quito, I decided I needed warmer weather to be closer to the beach to surf. I found a job in Venezuela where I taught 9 through 12 IB DP art. I continued my master's program. The surf wasn't ideal, but the oceans were more beautiful than I expected. So I became dive certified to quench my need for the ocean. I finished my master's in December 2014, and since moving abroad, I've traveled to Costa Rica, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, Panama, Ecuador, Venezuela, Italy, France, Greece, Trinidad, and Spain. I took a father-daughter trip to Spain to find our roots. We ended up finding our long-lost cousins and got to visit and dine in the house that my great-great-grandfather built back in the 1800s. Luckily, I had learned Spanish. These last few years have been an unforgettable experience where I've met interesting people, fallen in love, had my heart broken, and fallen in love again. I lived life like a gypsy, felt a fast and strong bond of friendship with other travelers like myself, and made lifelong friends. I have been kidnapped in Peru, survived dengue fever, climbed the Andes, dived 90 feet under the Caribbean Sea, waded to my chest in the swamps of the Amazon jungle, held tarantulas, kissed butterflies, played with dolphins in the Mediterranean, swam side by side sharks in the Pacific, ziplined over canyons and jumped off waterfalls, slept in hammocks in the jungle, swam in the lagoon below the highest free fall waterfall in the world, and hiked the Incan Trail for 4 days to end at Machu Picchu. That was pretty good. And after all this, I realized that Melbourne Beach is one of my favorite places in the world. I miss my Florida ocean, my friends, my family, and driving around in my Jeep. I'm thinking about pursuing a career with my own art and learn how to make jewelry. Now, if you read Tamara's profile on Amazon, you know that Warsaw, Poland is her present place of residence, hence the 4,000-mile collaboration on the book. She has lived many more adventures since our correspondence, adding more parts to her masterpiece. You know, very few walk into high school pondering Mary Oliver's question, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? But I think Tammy has been asking that question for a long while. Many have been showered with false praise and hollow rewards. Others have been simply ignored and neglected. Either way, they cannot see within themselves quite yet. And I'm at times guilty of growing intolerant with their blindness. But then the light comes on and it thrills me to the core. I'm the grandfather again, or crazy uncle asking them, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to be? Of course, Whitman tells them again that the powerful play goes on, and each of them may write a verse. There are so many others who, like Tamara, are living great stories, and I hope to share them with you. But this one now is about the co-author of Good Dog Loose. I hope you enjoy the book and share it with your children. I hope you keep your eye out for all the wonderful work that is bound to spring from this woman. And also, I hope you're out there living your great story. So, enjoy and fair winds.